We live in challenging times that call upon us to explore and to decide how we want to live together on this beautiful planet. We need a vision of how a world can look like, where all beings are respected and treated with love. A world where we all want to live in. Together with many visionary people, we set off to work out this vision in detail and to make it available to all of you. The New Earth Manifesto. Chapter 1. Health of all life. The foundation of life on Earth is fertile soil, the humus. Priority is therefore to detoxify our soils and to build up humus on a private and agricultural level with composting techniques and worm cultures. For this purpose, composting and humus building seminars are organized by municipalities. In our fields, meadows and beds, toxic sprays and fertilizers are being replaced by terra preta, effective microorganisms and other biological organic fertilizers that support the formation of natural humus. Sealed land areas that are no longer required, such as industrial sites or large parking lots, are being dismantled and made available to the community in order to create community gardens or medicinal forests with edible fruits. On large agricultural areas, hedges are planted with flowers, fruit and nut trees, chestnuts, etc., to feed the insects, especially the bees, but also people, to guide the winds and provide niches for birds and other animals. The chirping of birds and the hum of insects accompany the harmonious growth of the plants. Only sustainable and organic farms are funded. Biodynamic, organic and permaculture farmers from small and medium-sized farms determine the agricultural policy. All other farms receive free retraining in sustainable and organic agriculture and regional distribution. New forms of highly efficient vegetable, berry and fruit cultivation, aquaponing or vertical gardening are also taught. Products that are still conventional, as well as their toxic ingredients, must be labeled. In a transition phase, non-biological products are subject to a toxin and pollutant tax. The money gained through this toxin tax flows directly into the conversion of farms into organic farming. The community supports independent and non-profit seed initiatives and seed swap circles to preserve and expand the diversity of our food and medicinal plants. There must be no patents on seeds and other living beings. Purification of all waters. In the future, dynamic, healthy and clean water will flow from all water pipes. Rivers and streams are being renatured as far as this is possible and ecologically worthwhile. Groundwater and rainwaters are kept in the region. New, highly efficient methods such as rainwater collection reservoirs, swales, drip irrigation, agroforestry or agrophotovoltaics are used for irrigation in agriculture. Where necessary, wastewater treatment plants are renewed using the best natural methods. Wastewater is cleaned by plants and composting techniques, bacteria, before it flows back into the water cycle. Wherever possible, modern, water-saving and humus-building compost toilets are installed. Large marine areas are placed under protection. Regional fisheries that respect marine life are replacing large-scale industrial fishing and trawling. Marine cleanup and marine regeneration projects receive generous and energetic support from the community and the government. Purification of the air we breathe. Exhaust gases and toxic spray mist containing aluminum, metal or other toxins are strictly no longer used. The emission of fine dust and air pollution of any kind is reduced to an absolute minimum. 60% of all forests, the lungs of our earth and producers of pure oxygen, are placed under nature protection. The destruction of ecosystems is considered a crime against life and is punished. Areas that have been deforested in recent centuries are reforested under the guidance of future-oriented foresters who think and feel integrally and have a global vision for forest ecosystems. Holistic forest management courses are offered to foresters, forest owners, and all interested people. Renaturation of all food. Artificial additives of any kind are only used if a panel of doctors, biologists, and alternative practitioners from various fields has determined their harmlessness. Sugar, refined fats, and denatured foods, which have led in recent decades to an unnatural increase in allergies, obesity, and diet-related diseases, are being replaced by wholesome and natural foods. The cultivation of wild herb meadows and ancient crops with greater nutrient richness and resistance to agricultural disasters, floods, drought, epidemic plagues, is promoted. Genetically modified seeds are no longer used. Farmers and gardeners are regaining their autonomy in terms of access, reproduction, and exchange of seeds. Environmentally friendly and pollutant-free production. Scientists work hand in hand with the manufacturing companies to increase the ecological efficiency in production and to make components that cannot be produced from purely natural raw materials as ethically, environmentally friendly and recyclable as possible. Nature's brilliant solutions serve as an inspiring model. The majority of textiles are made from natural and renewable raw materials. Hemp and linen cultivation and the cultivation of other ecologically valuable crops enjoy great popularity. Artificial materials are recycled, repaired, and processed into new materials. The ecological footprint is declared on the labels of the products, in particular what the materials are made of, how fair they were produced, and how efficient their expected life cycle is. In the transition phase, high taxation of fossil and geological raw materials will quickly advance the development of energy efficiency, longevity, and recyclability of old products. Every living being is treated with respect and mindfulness. The greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated. Mahatma Gandhi. Any form of cruelty to animals, cage or factory farming, is considered a crime against life and will be punished. Laboratory experiments and animal transports for consumption are a thing of the past. Every animal that is not allowed to live in freedom because it contributes to the production of milk or other animal products is provided with a large run in nature together with its flock, as well as objects to play with. These animals live with people who have a loving and harmonious relationship with them. They are fed exclusively with natural food. Cows are allowed to keep their horns. Only the most essential medications are given, and these only at the discretion of the animal owner. Animals, such as bulls from dairy farms, the cockerels from the egg production, or surplus wild animals, are killed in their natural and familiar environment with as little suffering as possible and are perceived and honored as sentient beings. Beforehand, the cows and bulls have a beautiful life in the great outdoors, supporting the stabilization and rebuilding of the humus. The shooting of animals to protect the forest and the culling of sick animals is only carried out by people with a hunting license specific to animal welfare-orientated training. We advocate to switch to vegetarian and vegan lifestyle. Our hospitals are being transformed into holistic healing spaces. The new healing concept and the construction of the corresponding spaces are developed and implemented with the knowledge and experience of medical doctors, alternative practitioners, energeticists, nutritionists, physiologists, biologists, psychologists, spiritual teachers, geomancers, feng shui specialists, etc. With little effort, current hospitals and intensive care units are made in advance more healing-friendly with plants, therapy animals, natural scents, natural light frequencies, images of plants and nature. The new healing spaces are surrounded by healing forests with special forest therapy paths based on a model of the Japanese Shinrin-yoku with mindfulness paths, streams and bodies of water. Animals and plants are therapy helpers. Special farms connected to the healing spaces offer therapy options for drug addicts or other people at risk of addiction. This also includes digital detox therapies. And at the same time, healthy organic food is grown here for the healing spaces. The following principles are recognized in the concept of healing. Humans are spiritually very high developed beings that do not end on the surface of their skin. They are multidimensional beings with several body layers, including physical body, mental body, emotional body, energy body, causal body, that are all connected and interacting with one another. Human beings are part of the Earth ecosystem, a living organism, and connected to it on all levels. The 5 biological laws of nature. All living beings have excellent self-healing powers and an immune system which must primarily be supported in order to prevent and heal diseases. Every illness has a message. From now on, medicine no longer focuses on the symptoms, but on identifying the cause and preventing the disease. In the new healing centers, holistic therapy methods are applied according to people's individual needs. Healing methods that have supported the healing through the power of nature and the spirit for centuries, such as homeopathy, TCM or anthroposophical medicine, as well as new, well-tested and already successfully applied healing methods based on quantum, frequency, energy and information are fully recognized, applied and taught. Natural and locally grown and produced remedies are preferred, as they have hardly any side effects compared to the products of the pharmaceutical industry, are better assimilated by the human organism, and also benefit local producers. The doctors speak openly, without being asked, clear and transparent about the side effects of the drugs they prescribe. The birth of humans and animals is respected as a sacred ritual. Women are given free access to prenatal classes developed by experienced, holistically thinking and feeling midwives. Birth centers and home births are equally supported. Women decide for themselves how and where they give birth. Natural births are encouraged, and invasive interventions are avoided wherever possible. Every child is dignified and accompanied into the world in a loving, gentle and mindful manner. In order to strengthen the love bond between the mother and child, to nurture the baby with a feeling of security and love from the beginning, and to supply the baby with the best nutrients in natural breast milk, women are optimally supported in breastfeeding their babies. Receive the children with reverence, educate them in love, and send them forth in freedom. Rudolf Steiner. By losing the fear of death and recognizing ourselves as infinite and immortal beings, then we also lose the fear of life. Together with death counselors from all religions, courses are being created that enable people to develop a fear-free and dignified approach to the subject of death, and also to learn to grieve freely. Relatives are also allowed to leave the body of their loved one laid out at home or in a sacred room for a few days, so that the soul can slowly and gently detach itself from the body. And the relatives have enough time to be able to say goodbye to their loved ones. Coffins, their contents and urns must be compostable without leaving any residue. Taking into account the values of different cultures and religions, incineration is preferable for groundwater hygienic reasons. Relatives are free to decide where they would like to scatter the ashes according to the wishes of the transcended. Forest burials are also increasingly popular. Technical progress serves life, and not the other way around. Any form of artificially applied technology to influence living organisms or the entire Earth, such as cable-free telecommunication technologies without a safety check, especially 5G, artificial intelligence, microchips, digital ID, IoT, smart meters, video surveillance systems, consciousness controlling technologies, artificial weather manipulation will be shut down and dismantled. Artificial intelligence is only used where it is beneficial to all life, under no circumstances for the surveillance and control of people. We acknowledge that all living beings on Earth are inextricably linked with the natural, terrestrial, and cosmic electromagnetic fields, and can only truly recover or stay healthy if we are in undisturbed resonance with these cycles and frequencies of the Earth and the cosmos. Research into and the immediate implementation of telecommunication technologies that are harmless to humans, animals, and plants have the highest priority. As long as the healing frequencies are not available for use, computers indoors are connected to the internet via cables. Once buildings are wired, the need for wireless communication decreases and radiation output of oversized outdoor antennas can be reduced. Well-researched and long-term tested healing frequencies will be used for regeneration in the future. In every country, there are radiation-free areas in which sick and radiation-sensitive people can settle or recover. Light frequencies that serve the human immune system. In the future, there will be only light sources that are harmless to all living beings and that do not pollute the environment during their production, their use, or recycling. To avoid light pollution, all external, unnatural light sources are reduced by at least 40% at night, and streetlights are shielded so that they do not shine into the night sky. Beaches where animals lay their eggs are no longer artificially lit, so that newly hatched baby animals are not disturbed in their natural behavior. The health of space is essential for our life. The sky, as an integral part of all life, must be protected. Satellites or other technical devices that disrupt the natural cosmic frequencies that enable healthy life on Earth will be dismantled with immediate effect. In future activities, the return of space debris to Earth must be taken into account. 13 moons calendar. As soon as we humans are more familiar with the natural cycles of the Earth and the cosmos, we will probably decide together on a 13 moon calendar that is in harmony with the natural rhythms and cycles of the Earth. Chapter 2: Development of Potential. You can only learn in a really sustainable way if you go to work with passion, enthusiasm and deep joy. Gerald Hüther. Children are supported in developing their full individual potential. As a spirit-gifted being, every child has, from birth on, its own inner learning plan. Joy of life, health, self-confidence, thirst for knowledge, the ability to concentrate and cooperate, a sense of responsibility, perseverance and active commitment to the community can be observed in young people who are allowed to develop themselves according to their inner learning plan. The social behavior is shaped by role models. The more respectfully and mindful a child is treated, the more it will encounter itself, nature and fellow human beings with mindfulness and respect. Alexandra Terzic-Auer. Children and adults are considered equal. The family is the first instance for a child's learning experience and its heart building. The second instance is the community, village, in which experience spaces and learning locations are provided. Parents and children are free to choose whether they want to study freely at these learning locations or at home. At these learning locations, children are invited to playfully live out their inherent joy of discovery with all their senses, and above all, in direct contact with nature. Their individual physical, mental, intellectual and spiritual needs are lovingly respected. These spaces are creative adventure playgrounds. Here, the practical, artistic or philosophical questions exploring the world are not solved purely through the mind, but through the interaction of hand, brain and heart. Here, from an early age, the learning content that complies with the laws of nature is not only thought, but it's also experienced firsthand through direct contact with forests, farms, gardens, waters and animals. Cross-species communication is an integral part of learning. Any craftsman's establishment can become an extended classroom. All forms of creative and artistic expression are welcomed, taught and encouraged. They are theatrical performances in which the young people can also solve questions about the architecture of the stage or learn to make costumes. Children are encouraged to form small orchestras and choirs. Some discover their talents as dancers, theater painters or makeup artists. Others test their skills as technicians or organizers. At the open learning locations, intergenerational connections are forged. Here, people of different ages meet jointly to implement projects that can also serve the general public. These open learning locations are impulse-giving centers of social life. This is also a place where new ideas for social life are developed and shared with the community and the local, and, depending on the potential, also with the national councils of wise ones. Humans no longer perceive themselves in their development as loose elements of a system, but as a creative designer of a large living organism. Main subjects of the previous schools, such as reading, arithmetic, writing or foreign languages, integrate naturally into the exciting learning experience. Reading and writing is often learned, for example, in order to understand or write languages, recipes, or texts on various interesting projects. Arithmetic needs to be learned to build objects in nature or indoors. Sacred geometry is experienced as the basic building block of matter and also of biology, physics when designing or building a new type of machine. Children are motivated to pass on their new knowledge to other children. Access to computer tools is to be avoided until the age of 12, while creativity, imagination, inspiration, and intuition are stimulated and encouraged. Above all, the individual strength of the children are emphasized. Making mistakes is a natural and important learning process. We differentiate between an initial phase of education in which a child is lovingly accompanied in a protected environment and encouraged to discover in a playful way who they are and what they are interested in. Natural and practical life is the great teacher. Then, from around the age of 12, the technical or university training phase follows. Instead of exams or grades, there are festive occasions where the young people individually or in groups present what they have done, created, learned, or practiced. Particularly important is the formation of the heart, the development of a new awareness of being interconnected to all life and the understanding of being. For this purpose, the following courses for being human in harmony with nature and the laws of nature are developed, which are recommended to all people of all age groups. Courses for a new consciousness. In cooperation with brain researchers, peace researchers, therapists, happiness researchers, and coaches from various directions, courses are developed that promote a new awareness of being human and of human evolution in harmony with nature and the laws of nature. This new awareness is brought closer to all people, especially caregivers, teachers, in order to optimally prepare them for their important task. The courses for being human include, for example, the following areas: heart intelligence, intuition and joy, finding the individual purpose of life, non-violent communication, the origin of violence, bullying, racism and their healing, knowledge of the structures and levels of consciousness, family constellations, emotional work, mindfulness and meditation, shadow work and trauma release, breathing and healing work, sexuality and its sacred dimension, the principles of life energy, dealing with dreams and alternative states of consciousness, insights into different worldviews, considerations of reality, the laws of nature and the cosmic laws and cycles, ritual studies and practice, communication with animals and other forms of consciousness, health and nutrition in harmony with nature, sustainable living and self-responsibility, reduction of possession, letting go and true fulfillment, the return of the divine feminine in our society. Conscious parenting. The courses for human evolution include, for example, the following areas: we culture, new forms of coexistence and cooperation, the development of new social structures, development of a new conscious democracy, development of healthy and sustainable monetary systems, healing of destroyed nature, development of sustainable agricultural systems, building biology and geomancy, development of exemplary places of work and living. These courses, which are oriented towards the well-being and development of all life in every point, are then provided to the children and young people in the learning locations, the new nature kindergartens, forest schools and adventure spaces. The new universities. There's no phenomenon that doesn't interact with all levels of being. Therefore, an integral view and the cooperation of all sciences is promoted. For example, the university education system for health professions is undergoing an urgent paradigm shift. The new knowledge of quantum physics, epigenetics, psychoneuroimmunology and consciousness research, as well as new medicine, are now being integrated. In agricultural training, only sustainable practices that are in harmony with all life are taught. Special attention is paid to the fascinating qualities of humus, seeds and water and their wonderful interplay. The teachers receive retraining. The new universities are therefore workshops for the future, in which researchers, university professors, students and pupils develop fresh impulses and ideas for the future of all of us. Research into free energies will resume. Research is also being carried out into other renewable energies that do not or only have a minimal impact on the environment. Science, research and universities are financially and content-wise independent of political or industrial interests. The cultural expression of people. Culture, creativity, imagination, inspiration and intuition are the forces of our prospective development and bear at least the same significance as our intellectual development. Art in general, such as theater, music, dance, literature and architecture, serve human expression, heart development and inspiration. Films are produced with the awareness that they have a direct influence on the subconsciousness. We respect and appreciate the ancient traditions, dances and chants of our ancestors, knowing that our deep roots hold us and give us support in the now. For a better understanding of other cultures and customs and to experience the abundance of beauty of our earth, exchange stays for school children, students and adults are offered. These new experiences and newly gained knowledge are then shared with other people in public lectures or exhibitions. Cultural exchange visits from people from other cultures are encouraged. Special attention is also given to the promotion of craftsmanship. Instead of selling cheap, mass-produced goods, handicrafts are being promoted, which not only have a longer life expectancy and are made of noble, natural materials, but in which the person behind the craft can be felt. This also reestablishes an appreciative relationship with the objects with which we surround ourselves with. Young people learn manual skills in the new schools, the learning locations. This also offers the possibility of integrating other subjects in a playful way. For example, you can practice fractions while cooking, learn something about length and angles while carpentering, about biodiversity, annual cycles, sun and photosynthesis or humus buildup when planning greenhouses or vegetable patches. Experiencing a variety of activities in a very practical way helps young people to find their calling. Everyone who feels their true calling and who wants to make it their new profession receives support from the community. Retirement homes are transformed into houses of life that are fully integrated into the community. Growing older is no longer associated with frailty and senility, but with maturity and wisdom. Wherever possible, aging people should stay with their families and communities and, if necessary, be locally supported by well-trained caregivers. For caregiving members of the family, courses are offered that teach them skills to support the relatives both on a physical level, for example with the regeneration of the musculoskeletal system, and on a mental and spiritual level. In the prospective houses of life, healthy food will be cooked in community and gardening work will be done together. Kindergarten and schools, but also animal parks are, whenever possible, attached to these living houses. For example, children learn to read with the elderly or find among them music teachers, craftsmen, engineers, firefighters, pilots, or people who tell them about their interesting jobs and do practical exercises with them. Older people are also given the opportunity to catch up on what they missed out in their younger years. People with disabilities are integrated into society. The view on disability is changing. It is seen as a unique otherness that everyone involved, from families to institutions and society, appreciates. People who cannot see may teach us to feel more intensely or to hear a space. Many people with disabilities teach us to feel the silence. Their presence helps us to perceive our own presence. Often they trigger our shadows and teach us to overcome them. Therapists, nurses, doctors, and companions are trained to support people with disabilities in a positive and future-oriented way. They are also supported to find their calling and to discover their genius. People with disabilities should, if possible, be able to live independently. There are adapted housing and residential communities made available, and it is ensured that they can participate in the everyday life. Furthermore, adapted fitness centers offer programs that help people with disabilities to regain greater flexibility. Wherever possible, suitable adaptations are made in public spaces. New forms of travel. Travelers choose the most environmentally friendly means of transport. It is no longer about the speed of the journey, but about the wealth of interactions along the way. Instead of consuming, travel is now becoming an opportunity to get to know other people, new cultures, exciting landscapes or ecosystems, and to discover oneself in the process. Many people travel for humanitarian or ecological purposes. There's a lot to clean up and to heal on our Earth. Through our travels, we become truly aware how the Earth gifts us and how we as humans can serve the Earth and all living beings. People in third world countries are led back into autonomy. People from former third world countries are supported to be independent from other countries and organizations and to feel recognized and worthy again. Poverty doesn't exist anymore. As soon as people are self-aware and have learned how to grow their own food and how to organize themselves among themselves, peace will return to the world. Chapter 3: Production Cycles, Economy. The natural cycle. What withers in autumn is converted back into humus by the soil organisms, so that healthy, nutrient-rich fruits can ripen again in the next year. Inspired by the cradle-to-cradle principle, what was considered waste becomes a nutrient for new production cycles. In a new social system that takes responsibility for people and nature, only consumer goods are bought that are really needed. These are manufactured sustainably and last very long time, can be repaired, and all parts are recyclable. Expandable goods, such as cleaning agents, shampoos or personal care products and their packaging, are made from naturally renewable raw materials and, after being used, are returned to the earth through composting. Consumer goods, such as cars, washing machines and computers, are made durable and repairable from so-called technical nutrients. At the end of their service life, new devices are manufactured using a recycling process that is gentle to people and nature. Packaging is either refillable or compostable. Food is offered free of packaging and can be filled into containers that have to be brought along. Production is generally based on the 5R principle. First, refuse. Second, reduce. Third, reuse. Fourth, repurpose. Fifth, recycle. The longevity of devices is promoted, and products are manufactured in such a way that they have a 10-year guarantee and can be easily repaired. Every qualified craftsman will be able to make these devices functional again using instructions provided by the manufacturer. All foods find their eaters. They are no longer simply thrown away or burned. The farmers produce the amount of food, if possible, after consultation with their customers. Food that is not sold is given free of charge to those in need or animals, or is composted and thus returned directly to the earth. The goal of a company is no longer primarily profit, but the real satisfaction of customers' needs, the happiness of employees, and the health of the earth. According to Frédéric Laloux's model of success, companies are much more successful and their employees happier when they can directly help shape the service for their customers. This can be supported by reducing hierarchies and disclosing income, expenses, and salaries. Even new job postings, as well as new product or market strategies, are created together. Smooth operation brings out enthusiasm and motivation internally and attracts new external candidates and customers at the same time. We support regional manufacturers by no longer importing products that can be produced in sufficient quantities in our own country. Strictly nothing is bought or imported from producers who exploit people, animals, and nature. Products that have been treated with pesticides or are genetically modified are no longer imported. Only small and medium-sized production and service companies are funded. Discount chains and large corporations will disappear within the next few years. In the cities, food cooperatives and shopping groups are formed that purchase their products directly from the craftsmen and from organic farms within the region. Computer apps help to locate producers of specialities and organize joint deliveries. More and more regional shops are being opened with predominantly local products. People produce for people again. This creates a relationship between the customers and the producers. Research and development of renewable and sustainable energy. The best energy policy is saving energy. In the transition phase, energy taxes accelerate the saving process. Additional energy tax revenues are initially used for the development and construction of sustainable energy systems and energy-saving courses for citizens, later into further local infrastructures activities. In the near future, fossil fuels will no longer be used. Decentralized, self-sufficient power supply networks are refined and rolled out, with their main functions available, independent of the Internet. Every village, every community, and every district can thus be self-sufficient with renewable energy. Patents of suppressed technologies and inventions that contribute to the solution of energy problems and the healing of man and earth are generously made available to mankind, further developed and put to use. Transport. Research is promoted into emission-free and, in terms of production, completely sustainable means of transport. On the outskirts of the cities, there are free parking spaces with good connections to the public transport network. The bike lanes are being expanded, and there are numerous car-sharing initiatives. Public transport will be offered for free. Here too, the focus must be on the region. Production takes place in our own region. Here is where we find our favorite service providers and our jobs. This means we need less transport, we save commuting traffic, energy, we need fewer cars, we have less noise, less pollution, fewer traffic fatalities, and less stress. Here too, in the transition phase, the aforementioned energy tax will help to automatically minimize the transport routes. Only that which serves the good of life is produced. Economy is based on fraternity. The economy, once again, is put into the service of direct exchange. Economy is here to serve to satisfy each other's needs. Instead of competitors, the companies see themselves as partners. They develop collaboration and cooperation. Chapter 4: Living Spaces. New green villages. Around existing cities, so-called new villages are emerging, in which people connect and cooperate. This may include a restructuring of existing villages, an ecologicalization of old building structures, or the ecological construction of new villages, whereby working out the genius loci is a must. The quality of each place in interaction with its surroundings and the human longing for beauty, as well as its geomantic peculiarities. Architecture with sustainable building materials also incorporates the lesson learned from Feng Shui, Vastu, and healing geometry. New buildings are built 100% according to ecological guidelines with minimal energy consumption. For each newly built area, an area of at least the same size is renatured. Here, communities of 100 to 150 people are formed. It is so pleasant to live in these natural eco-places and loving neighborhoods that they attract a growing number of people who long for this kind of harmony with themselves and the living beings around them. Housing, development of potential, work, culture, and communication all takes place in the neighborhood. This strengthens the community while simultaneously promoting quality of life, saving time and money, and reducing traffic. As much as possible is shared collectively, such as workspaces, communal rooms for encounters and cultural activities, agricultural equipment, tools, rarely used kitchen appliances, cars, etc. People support each other again, as was the case in the past with harvest work, building a barn, etc., and thus create bonds of community and solidarity. Both in the countryside with its villages and in the cities, cooking and gardening communities are formed. The elderly are an integral part of the community, and children and young people benefit from their wealth of experience. In order to facilitate communication and administration within each community and region, residents are offered courses on the most successful communication methods, such as non-violent communication, holacracy, sociocracy, or decision-making by consent, as well as courses on building a regional infrastructure. In these new villages, nutrient-rich vegetables, fruits, nuts and berries are grown according to ecological guidelines and sold regionally. People are trained to teach others about building up humus, composting and organic farming. Medicinal herbs for the healing spaces are also grown, and seminars are offered on the production of herbal medicine. We suggest that farmers allocate 5 to 20% of their agricultural land to neighboring communities in exchange for rental labor, in order for people to be able to grow crops, create community gardens, or keep animals. Springs are considered to be special places that are freely accessible to everyone. They are especially cared for and constantly tested to guarantee the purity of the water. Village fountains are cleaned before reopening. According to the woofing principle, it's easy for people all over the world to work on organic farms in exchange for food and lodging, to connect and learn about cultivation methods and local cultural peculiarities. Even within a country, people contribute their skills in the eco-communities in return for board and lodging. It's made easy for people to set up alternative housing projects, such as eco-communities, tiny house settlements, or to live in a nomadic way. Green cities. From now on, we begin to intensively green our cities. The old and new trees filter toxic particulates, ensure a healthy microclimate, offer shade and provide oxygen. The leaves serve as a nutrient to build humus in the city. The roots of existing trees are freed from tar and concrete. Urban gardening transforms our cities into edible cities. The cultivation of vegetables, fruits, berries and nuts, and the keeping of bees within the cities are encouraged. Be it in parks, in the former industrial areas, which are often located on very fertile soil, in free urban spaces, in backyards, on roofs, balconies, on facades in vertical or raised beds, along wide sidewalks. Urban composting is organized in the same way as recycling. Residents are trained and involved in maintenance, resulting in joint projects such as a cocotarium, a collective chicken co-op for recycled leftover food, producing fresh eggs and creating social connections. The large urban gardens contain their own restaurants or cafes, offering fresh local and regional produce. Townspeople connect with farmers and agricultural communities to gain access to products that cannot be grown or produced in a city. In both city and countryside, consumers and farmers form purchasing groups or so-called CSA communities, community-supported agriculture groups, through which every farmer receives a fixed monthly amount from the community that they need to buy seeds, to till the fields, to harvest and process their produce, and to be able to live well with their family and animals. In return, each member of the community receives a sufficient amount of seasonal produce. Parents with large living spaces, whose children have moved out and who do not already provide their living space to the use for non-profit purposes, such as courses or conferences, are encouraged to rent their unoccupied living space to other people. In this way, new shared apartments can be formed. Co-working spaces invite networking and offer pleasant workplaces. In the city and in the country, repair cafes are formed, in which tinkerers or IT specialists repair broken devices or other things. Physical and digital swap circles make it easier to find or pass on used items. Knowledge exchange networks facilitate the transfer of knowledge and the connection of global and local initiatives, as well as finding and working out solutions among like-minded people. You can find well-developed bike paths everywhere, as well as car-sharing initiatives for transports or trips to the country. Each region is encouraged to secure the food and basic needs of the people as self-sufficiently as possible. Chapter 5: Administration. In order to avoid lobbying in politics, a new transparent form of democracy is needed. A democracy in which a party system is obsolete. Positions are held by people who have proven in the past that they are not only highly competent and responsible, but also capable of thinking beyond their actual area of expertise, while having demonstrated that they are lovingly concerned about the well-being and health of all life. Each elected representative serves the will of the people. There's no special financial incentive to become a representative of the people. A working group ensures that there can be no abuse of power. Every representative of the people takes personal responsibility for their actions. This prevents laws being passed which only benefit the private sector, but harm people, animals, or plants in the process. At the same time, every representative of the people who has this great responsibility is supported by councils of wise ones. There is a council of wise men and women for every important topic. These councils of wise ones are composed of representatives of the people who are appointed by committed and engaged people of the country on the basis of their generally recognized and accepted competence. They are formed around relevant topics such as agriculture, energy, health, transport, development of potential, peace, etc. Wise women and men from indigenous peoples and children are also invited to be part of these councils of wise ones. The Constitution of the New Earth. The first task of each Council of Wise Ones is to write a proposal for a constitution that equally respects people and nature. The people of the country can vote on this constitution. The new Earth Manifesto may serve as the basis for this new constitution. Every resident of a country is invited to contribute their constructive ideas and express their wishes on all important issues. We are moving from a democracy of delegation to an active system of cooperation and engagement. Thus, everyone has the opportunity to find out via a digital platform what the councils of wise ones are currently engaged in and has the ability to contribute constructively and actively. The administration of villages, regions and country is structured simply, clearly and efficiently. Already at the local level, there is a Council of Wise Ones for every relevant topic in life. These Council of Wise Ones are in close communication with the population and with the Council of Wise Ones in the districts. The Council of Wise Ones in the districts are in close communication with the Council of Wise Ones in the country. A participatory culture of decision-making. For this purpose, existing models of decision-making, such as sociocracy, holacracy and Yamagishi-kai, are being tested in practice and further developed. In the decision-making process and in the practical implementation of the decision, the guiding principle is always applied. Each of our actions and every law is always oriented towards the good of all life, in respect, compassion and mindfulness for the earth and her diversity, in love, truth, freedom, equality, fraternity, peace. Chapter 6. Law, Guardians and Peacekeepers. The new legal system integrates the laws of nature and forms the structure for a new, healthy and social organism in which people and nature are equally respected. The legal system serves the entire social organism and harmonizes the various interests and ever new life impulses. For example, it is ensured that the interests of the economy or the development of potential are not at the expense of nature. Legal life ensures that all people, regardless of gender, skin, color, sexual, intellectual or spiritual orientation, always have equal rights and opportunities. Furthermore, it ensures a healthy relationship between health, development of potential, economy, and living spaces. The law is created for sovereign human beings, not the construction of a person. The new precepts are clearly structured, simply written, and easy to understand. They are based on the new constitution and are written by a special Council of Wise Ones, which is in close communication with all other thematically specialized Council of Wise Ones, and then submitted to the sovereign people of the country for a vote. The police as legal guardians, friends and helpers. The police embody their role as friends and helpers of people, plants, animals, waters, air, landscapes, forests and humus, and support in the transition phase the rebuilding of all areas of life. The police are at the service of the Constitution and the precepts adopted by the sovereign people. Both the peacekeepers and the police complete the courses for a new awareness, as well as special additional training in non-violent communication, peacekeeping, mediation, etc., and thus develop skills which then can also be used in prisons or in humanitarian rescue operations. The executive and legislative branches are clearly separated from each other. The military becomes pure peacekeepers. The basic, purely defensive military, or peacekeepers, are helping where they are most needed. They also no longer carry out missions in foreign countries, except for humanitarian or environmental purposes, or for the development of social and ecological structures. Jurisdiction. Creating justice is about recognizing the cause of the conflict or the deed and the healing of it. In addition, techniques such as mediation, family constellations, forgiveness rituals such as Ho'oponopono are used. Centers of potential instead of prisons. Centers for the development of potential will be set up, in which people who have committed criminal acts go through an intensive therapy program for rehabilitation. Activities such as creative arts, spiritual practice, social services, theater, dance, or music enable them to recall their good qualities as human beings. Within these centers, people heal in connection with nature and with animals. Chapter 7. Money System. Money is no longer an end in itself, but it is there to serve people and nature. We are introducing a new monetary system. A new serving money as a cash and clearing system has a real standard of value and is aligned, for example, with the defined organic food basket. The food basket, once defined, always maintains the same value. This means there is no longer any inflation or deflation. Money creation as such can only be carried out by the central banks and is mainly used to gift to creative, cultural or educational institutions and helping centers. The creation and endless increase of money through credit, especially through commercial banks, do not exist anymore. Credit and credit interest will be abolished. Only agency and processing fees can be charged. Speculation is completely abolished. The hoarding of money is made more difficult by an aging interest rate, for example 1% per month. That way, money is always in circulation. Profits made from this 1% are allocated to support cultural activities and the development of potential. Vouchers are given to people who want to continue their education. Every child receives a monthly voucher from this money pool in order to be able to choose specific additional learning experiences, such as craft businesses, cultural activities, university courses, student exchanges, etc. Anyone who has more money than he actually needs can lend it to others to avoid the depreciation due to the aging interest rate. Future banks are purely service providers for payment transactions and the brokerage of loan money. Only fees for processing the transactions remain. Until the central banks take over the extended sovereign money system, we encourage activists to introduce and experiment with regional currencies and to further develop those currencies together with regional producers, service providers and consumers. The new insights are then shared with the councils of wise ones for financial issues. The priority in our new culture is the health and development of people's potential. Money only serves as a real means of exchange, loan and gift for the needs of living beings. Intelligent taxes. Intelligent taxes accelerate the healing process. In the transition phase, everything that harms people and nature is heavily taxed. On the other hand, what promotes people and nature is rewarded. The working person is liberated from taxes and social security contributions. So the services for social and cultural developments are getting much cheaper. The ecologically and socially acceptable products are becoming cheaper, whereby environmentally and socially damaging production methods will soon be a thing of the past. Microtaxes on all purchases and transition taxes of around 1%, together with the toxin taxes mentioned above, replace VAT and other labor-intensive and unsocial charges. They enable the state to get 100% for its expenses. Basic income. A basic income is available to every person on request in exchange for moderate social employment. This social activity of about 20 hours takes place in nature regeneration projects, in working with people in need, or the development of community space, and simultaneously promotes the awareness of self-efficacy and the connectedness of all that is. Artists who contribute to the good of the community with their art, music, theater, painting, dance, receive money in order to realize their vocation. Nobody is left behind. If a person is unable to work for one reason or another, they receive enough money to meet their needs for clothing, food and shelter. The land can only belong to the earth herself. We did not inherit the earth from our ancestors. Rather, we have borrowed it from our children. Indian proverb. Nobody can own land and shouldn't have the opportunity to speculate with it. The land is the basis of life for all of us. Instead of ownership, we humans can get the administrative right over a piece of land for professional or residential use. We take responsibility for this piece of land, perceive ourselves as loving guardians of this place on earth, and protect and care for all living beings of this place. Above a size that yet has to be determined, all land is transferred to a foundation for the liberation of the soil. The local councils of wise ones decide with the board of trustees which humus and society building projects such as community gardens or orchards shall be implemented there. At least 10% of each piece of land is given back to nature and its beings, after it has been made fertile again and where man no longer intervenes in the natural order. Resources. Companies, streets, springs, raw material deposits, trading platforms, rental houses, etc. are the basis of life and the economy, and no longer commercial objects that make our life expensive and manipulable. We ourselves find legal forms that protect the common good. Crowdfunding. Large crowdfunding, crowd investing platforms make it easier for entrepreneurs to get the funds of their projects and to be in contact with their sponsors. Chapter 8. Media. Freedom of press, diversity of opinion and independent reporting are once again the focus of the mission. The media are called upon to be carriers of positive solutions for the transformation on Earth and the regeneration of life, as well as to report on successful projects and solutions. Media houses and journalists are financially independent and free. In case media houses receive financial support from the economy or politics, they must officially disclose by whom they are financed. This provides clarity as to whom, which investor financier the content of the newspaper, articles, radio or television programs may be of service to. Journalists are free and have no financial or ideological dependency on a newspaper, broadcaster or internet portal. They are funded by culture and can work for multiple media organizations at the same time. Freedom of the press, diversity of opinion, quality journalism and independent reporting. During the corona crisis, we became increasingly aware that the media has the power to massively influence and direct everyone, individually as well as the entire population. Therefore, there must be no more unilateral, manipulative and destructive propaganda or censorship. Finding information from more than one source is the order of the day, because the different perspectives on a topic usually say more than what similar articles have in common. Hearing different opinions and weighing them against our own experience and perception trains our minds and can enormously expand our worldview. Journalists remember their responsibility in forming opinions and prove themselves worthy of it. If they state their own opinion, this has to be clearly marked as such. Facts can be checked. Sources are communicated transparently. Truly investigative journalists are valued. People who are courageous and curious to uncover nuisances, do in-depth research, get an on-site picture, and ideally also document possible solutions. The media report positively and support their readers in strengthening their personal responsibility. State support is only given to media that refrain from reporting luridly about dangers, catastrophes, accidents or crime, but rather report about positive events, successful projects and solutions. During the annual flu season or potential pandemics, information on strengthening the immune system, prevention and healing is communicated. In addition, opinion and advice, warnings and healing successes from competent and independent doctors, virologists, immunologists are incorporated. Even at school, young people are invited not to thoughtlessly believe mainstream or social media, but rather to form their own opinions. Media reports are always questioned. From what perspective and with what intention is something written? What does this medium want that I believe, and cui bono? Whom does it serve if I believe this? What does my common sense say? What does the intelligence of my heart tell me? Which worldview is this article trying to underpin? Is the post trying to activate emotions? What other publications are available from the author? Which institutions is the author close to? Social media platforms. The posting of material glorifying violence to humans and animals, as well as any direct or indirect call for pedophilia, is prohibited on all social media platforms. Platform providers are not allowed to arbitrarily censor content or users by themselves. Everyone has the right to move around in their environment without being influenced by advertising. Advertising in public places will be discontinued with immediate effect. Signs that lead to local businesses remain. Advertisements on radio and TV stations are announced in advance and provided with a timestamp in order to give listeners or viewers the opportunity to evade them in good time. Advertising on the internet is only shown after a prior clear declaration of readiness from the user. Chapter 9. Guiding Principle. Each of our actions and every law is always oriented towards the good of all life. In respect, compassion and mindfulness for the earth and her diversity, in love, truth, freedom, equality, fraternity, peace. If you too want to live on such an earth, then set a sign. Go to thenewearthmanifesto.com and say yes. Let us show to the world how many people want to live paradise on earth, and let's create this paradise together.
Mother Earth, is it true that you are suffering? And you have, like us, a soul within? And do you feel these things that we are feeling? Mother Earth, do you have a voice that we can hear? Can we hear